What is Romancelvania?
It's a reality TV dating show mixed in with Castlevania and action platforming and a lot of spookiness, a lot of ridiculous puns.
Romancelvania is everything I've ever wanted in a video game, and just we made it ourselves. It's got comedy, it's got romance, it's The Bachelor meets Dracula.
Imagine all the antics and craziness that would come out of that, and that is what Romancelvania is in a nutshell.
Romancelvania for me is a chance to draw upon that same sense of awe that I always feel and pass that along.
We wanted to bring something different and refreshing and fun.
Hey, I'm Bill Gardner. I'm the creative director at the Deep End Games, and I basically drive the creative vision for Romancelvania.
Hi, I am Amanda Gardner, and I am the narrative director at the Deep End Games, and I'm the writer of Romancelvania.
I didn't set out to make a video game studio. I was finishing up my master's degree. At the end of one class, my professor said, by the time you all get to your cars tonight, you're gonna think of the next big thing, whatever that means. So I'm walking to my car and I'm thinking, like, if I were to make a game, what would be the thing that I would love to make? All these ideas started popping in my head, and on the drive home from class, I messaged Amanda, and I was like, what if, we did a game like this, and all these ideas started flowing. And by the next morning, we're like, okay, I guess we're gonna start a video game company.
So we've always been creative partners. When I wrote books, he would, help edit them. When he would come home, after working on BioShock in the day, we would sit down together and we would workshop scenes, we would workshop a lot of narratives. So we've always been creative partners. We made Perception together, and we had, great chemistry and whatnot, but I have more of a sense of humor that kind of needs to be let out a little bit. And so one night, we play Symphony of the Night Castlevania every single Halloween. And one year we were playing it, and Bill noticed that Dracula had all these random monsters in his house. What is the Salem witch doing in the basement? And why is there a Frankenstein? What's going on in this mansion? He was kind of like, oh, what if they had a big dance party, or what if they had some kind of ball? And we started laughing. And then he just kind of looked at me and just took a moment and just said, Romancelvania. And I looked at him and I just said, take my money. Yes, whatever that is that you just said, I want it and I want to do it.
So Romancelvania is our love letter to Castlevania. Bill and I grew up playing that, before the days of Twitch. That's how Bill and I grew up. I watched him play video games, I watched him play the Castlevania series, and he'd comment on it, and that's how we grew up, that's our childhood. We've always loved it, so having the opportunity to give that nod and that love to this game is amazing for us.
Wanted to have a game where I love romance and I love horror, but they always feel so separate. And I feel like we don't have enough games that bring those two together.
We wanted to make a game that is just fun and quirky and gothic and spooky, and we wanted to bring something, I think the world needs some fun, the world needs some kookiness. And that's one thing about our game. Everyone's like, this is crazy. There's crazy monsters. You get a giant spaghetti monster, you get a teenage mutant ninja Cerberus. What are we doing? But we love it. We're leaning into the crazy, and we think our fans will absolutely love that.
Drac is down and out. He spent eons slaying, being the king of all vampires, and then when he suffered this defeat at the hands of his mortal nemesis, the Van Helsing clan, his lover left him, and he just pretty much sat in his castle and brooded and ate blood sorbet for 100 years.
It starts off where Drac's kind of along for the ride, right? He's suffered from this humiliation, and he's been dumped. We've all been there. And so what is that like? A lot of times you have your friends trying to rally you, and that's exactly what happens. Grim comes knocking, and he's like, okay, it's been 100 years. Time to get back on the horse.
Wake up, we need to shake up your life. We need to do something interesting. We need to get you back on track. So Grim decides, what better way to get Dracula on track than put him on a reality dating show?
Love at First Bite, a reality dating show starring you.
And here I was thinking defeat and disgrace was rock bottom.
Grim was so hilariously interesting to me because one, his character design is completely unique. I've seen lots of different Grims. I love his voice, I love his whole personality, that he's larger than life, he's kind of everyone's friend. He's the perfect game show host.
So Drac is thrown into this completely absurd existence of having to court these monsters from around the world, live in a new updated castle, because his own castle was in absolute shambles, and just navigate what it's like to get your life back and to sort of get over the thing you can't get over.
We created basically the most interesting, quirky, wild cast we could possibly think about to get players invested. I think a little bit further, you know, to give the extra drive. So when you walk away from that immersion, there's I think more of an emotional connection to that world.